Let's do it tonight. Hey, it's Collins from Commute with Collins. It's so beautiful, and man, today was such a fun day. It's a Monday. Who has fun on a Monday? I don't know. Cats. But anyways, so hi. I hope you guys are doing well. I am just heading home for the day. Yeah, it's already Monday. I already said that. So yeah, I had some caffeine today, so I feel a little bit chatty. So I thought I would take a moment to record a Commute with Collins. So hello my friends. So guys, I moved in. I have unpacked 0 things because I just finished dog sitting, which they gave me a glowing review, and I cried because that means so much to me. This might seem ludicrous, but so their dog is super high energy corgi. My dog is super high energy puggle, and they like really meshed well together. So after all of that, every time that I dog sit and / house sit, I usually get them, like clean their house, or how would I like it if I was just on vacation and came home and somebody else has lived there? That's gross. So, I made it so their house was nicer than when I found it. And I noticed that their flowers were dying. So I went to the store and I got some similar flowers, not exactly the same flowers, same color scheme and such. And so I put them there, and I bought a couple and meshed them in some vases, and they put it in my review. So I really love dog sitting on Rover. It feels more legitimate, like a business, but more personal. So yeah, I really liked dog sitting. It's a lot of fun, but I also haven't really unpacked since I moved. So that'll happen eventually, I guess. But if you're new here, this is just Commute with Collins, and it's me talking to you. You're right here in my seat next to my workout pants that I was wearing when I worked out, because yes, I do work out. Fat people can work out too. I mean, how else are we gonna improve ourselves? And I mean that in the most genuine way. Like, I have goals too, and I'm not a meathead. I am not training for anything in particular. I just want to be more healthy and not feel like a piece of shit every day. It's for my mental health, and it's for myself, and my own body is for myself. And I've talked about this multiple times on my podcast and on my YouTube channel about, what it's like to be 6 feet and, fat. I'm not obese. I know my numbers. I'm trying to do it healthy as someone who has had an eating disorder. Someone who's still like I see this part, and this is like the chin thing is from my side of the family, because they are English and Irish, and everybody in my family has this. And even as a kid, even when I was the skinniest that I've ever been, I always had it. And I think that's a huge reason why. It's because I've seen like curvy, beautiful people, and they don't have chins. But I used to be very flat, and I still had a chin. So it's an interesting culmination of things, trying to accept your own body. With that said, we are 4 minutes in to Commute with Collins, and my brightness, my auto brightness is like totally shitting the bed, because it's what, 6 p.m. and the sun is like directly fucking on me. But I did want to talk to you guys about why I'm so emotional about moving. So many of you know my life story, and many of you don't. So I used to live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I moved there with my ex-boyfriend from college, and we rented this really cute house in Pittsburgh. And I put aside, my, what I wanted, because before that I was living in New York City. Like, I was wanting to do anything really to not be teaching. I had gotten a degree in teaching and I hated teaching. So I started teaching piano, and then I started working at Starbucks, and then I was bartending, and then I was working retail. Like, any job that I could afford a $1,700 a month small ass apartment. And he gave me the opportunity to move to Pittsburgh with him, and while he was finishing up school, so rented this house for $700 a month. I didn't realize what that meant. It meant that it was an old fucking house. It meant that we had drafty windows, and we had $200 a month electric bills, and we would sleep in separate rooms because he didn't want to have sex with me. And it was just like all these red flags. But I'd gone through a really emotional period where guys were using me for my body. Again, part of my eating disorder part. And I was abusing drugs to lose weight, and I mean, nothing that was going to kill me. I mean, just to take the edge off or like help me lose weight, because I legit thought that 137 pounds was heavy because I had a double chin. And at 6 foot, like, that's kind of, 5'11" and a half, whatever. But it's one of those things that I look back to when I thought I was fat, and now that I am, fat, like, I'm in the category of being fat. And just because I say fat, it doesn't mean I'm putting myself down. It means I have a lot of fat in my body. I mean, I have fat in my body. I have an athletic build, so I'm not like curvaceous, but like I have boobs and, whatever. This is way too much information from the internet, but when has that ever stopped me? So lo and behold, I'm having all these body dysmorphia things and cutting off drugs because I was too poor to be able to do drugs, and literally living in the same house as someone who I didn't think was sexually attracted to me anymore. So I cheated on him, which is like the shittiest thing I've ever done in my life. But I realized when I cheated, I realized how much I didn't love him, and I didn't want to be with him. And so we wanted to not break the lease, so we just stayed living together. We were in different rooms, and it was fine. But all the while, I'm trying to like make rent and pay, my student loans and, all these things, and struggling. Like, everything was just like struggling, and I had put myself there. I fully admit that I made life so hard for myself, and I was trusting the wrong people, basically, and sleeping at my friend Christy's house all the time. And there was one day that, I met this guy while working at Starbucks, and he would come in all the time, and he was at the university, studying something I can't even remember anymore. And I think he was mentally, off or whatever. And on a night that I wasn't supposed to be working, I was working at Starbucks and then went to a bar, and I've shared my rape story before. But yeah, he went and raped me, and this person that I had trusted, because I was having an emotional crisis with my ex-boyfriend, who then came and said that he was attracted to men, and it was just very confusing for me. So I didn't really know what to do. I wanted to kind of kill myself, and Pittsburgh was a little bit too too much for me, and so I moved back home, and that's why I live in, the Seattle area. And when I moved in with the girl that I just moved out of her place, I had just moved back here. I immediately got into a sexual relationship with someone who was introduced to me from a friend who ticked off every box that this ex-boyfriend in Pittsburgh didn't have. And, he's been talked on my podcast as Xbox guy, and really emotionally just like wrecked me. And not only did I feel like I couldn't trust anyone, I also felt like men were things that I could use. And so for about a period of a year, me and this Xbox guy went back and forth talking, and it was just really confusing. And I wanted to be wanted in a relationship, but I also wanted to be wanted sexually. And it was a really emotionally tough and very embarrassing part of my life, was that first year of living with my housemates when I first moved here in Silverdale. And so I went from being this like timid, like barely making rent, like basically like working for a doctor's office that like didn't pay me well, to 3 years later, I'm in a thriving relationship. I'm at a wonderful job. I have a dog. I have responsibilities. I got my credit score up like 150 points just by like actually paying my shit. And I'm not here to be like, oh, your life will be great if all of a sudden you do XYZ. No, I think I'm like emotionally attached to my recovery. After 12 minutes of this Commute with Collins, I think that that's just why I've been so emotionally attached to the place that I was moving out of, because that's where my recovery happened. And I don't want to slip into old patterns. I don't want, like, those aren't patterns. Those aren't like things that make me who I am. They were just events that culminated into choices that I made. And I think that that's okay. I think that, I can learn from my fuck ups. And if you're sitting there like willing to judge me for, basically putting myself in dangerous positions, basically, cheating on my boyfriend, going into a bunch of sexful, no strings attached relationships, you can go ahead and do that, and that's fine, and that's your prerogative. And then thank you so much for watching Commute with Collins. But the reason why I'm so open and I speak my truth is because I know that I'm not going to be the only person who ever experiences any of my story, whether it is in the depressed, having an eating disorder, to the rape, to moving out of fear, to the now where I'm totally fucking unsure. Like, if my relationship is going to work out, is this job even going to work out? Like, am I in the right position? But it's when I started putting myself first and stopped worrying about my fucking double chin. And you guys probably don't even notice. You're probably like, oh yeah, I guess she does have one. But I don't know. These are just things that I think about, and I hope that this Commute with Collins was a little bit beneficial to you and will encourage you to talk about your own story. So with that said, thank you so much for commuting with me. I'm gonna get off this exit. I'm gonna get off on this exit. That sounds so weird. Why is English language so weird? Tell me your favorite color. Have a wonderful day. Bye.